welcome to Officially Casually, the only show where we talk about the things that don't show, like, what's the word of the things that you get on your, you know, I don't have that, so don't look at me.
The things that you get where?
No, I didn't say anything. What? You get where? What? I didn't say nothing.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm talking about words.
But going close to the mic, it has some effect, right?
Yes, it makes
It definitely does.
It makes the whole thing more intense.
Please understand.
But
you know, in
snatching.
Jumanji, in the new Jumanji, when they like zoom in on the rock and he like kind of like squints his eyes and says something, and it sounds extra important.
Yeah, like
yeah,
smoldering,
just like that.
Smoldering.
Yeah. That's the effect of getting closer. Yeah, intense smoldering.
Yeah, I fucking love it. Everybody should master that skill.
Yeah, well,
dangerous.
You probably have to weigh over 200 pounds in muscles to master that skill.
I don't think so.
After you get enough muscles, you just get that skill in your skill tree.
Yeah. It's like no. Did you guys see the trailer for the new one?
There's a new one. No, I have not seen that.
I've seen it, but I forgot about it.
It's weird. Yeah, I'm not surprised that you forgot about it, because it's weird how much it just looks like the first one. You know, I really like the first one, and this one might be good too, but in a way it feels like too much, like DLC maybe.
Wait a second, when you say the first one, do you mean the original one?
I do
the
not.
First Rock one?
The first Rock one, yeah.
Okay. Like
the
that
first
one.
comedy.
Is it like the same cast again?
I think
yes.
I think it's the same cast, but definitely the people inside Jumanji are the same, and then the people outside Jumanji, which I guess they weren't really the characters, right?
I think they're different people. I have the feeling they're like not all of them the same.
They look different, right? But yeah, they're still like in the jungle again, and it's the same, but they are in different bodies. So now someone else is on the rock.
Okay, so now they're all four of them are gonna like act differently because like the core person in them is different.
Actually, no, because the fat one is the same. So Jack Black is the girl again, and she's like, "Oh no! Why am I the fat guy?" or something like that. And then the other.
That sounds like Jack Black.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. They used to tell me that all the time, that I sounded just like Hispanic Jack Black, Black Jack. Hispanic Black Jack.
Man, Jesus. When is the film coming out?
Oh, we can check.
No idea.
But I've not seen anything on it, so maybe it's not gonna come soon. Would be my guess. Maybe.
Not soon.
I don't know. Not soon.
Between soon and not soon.
Yeah. Some point between now and the end of the world.
Some time. Oh God. Okay, so change topics. I have to change topics because the last couple of days were very interesting on my side, and I kind of want to talk about it.
Go ahead.
So, do you know the feeling when you meet people from your past, which you haven't seen in a long, long time, and then you notice, there's a change that happened, right? Because you're not the same person anymore, and they're not the same person anymore.
Yeah.
Right. So on Thursday, I met with a girl. She's long. Basically, I know her since I'm alive, because we have like 2 years. We're like 2 years separate, right? She's like 2 years older than me. But so I've told you, that my family is originally from Kosovo, and her family too. And that's so basically her parents, my parents are friends since they all grew up there in the mountains of Balkan, whatever, and then they moved to Austria and Switzerland and whatever. However, I didn't have really good contact with her because, we just live kind of far away, and we just didn't have the contact. But we see each other every couple of years. That's kind of the rhythm that we have. And so meeting her on first day was really, really cool because she said something like, she, well, let me go a little bit backwards. 5 years ago, I went through a depression where I decided to change my life. And that's when I decided to go to China and to become a different person because I was not satisfied with who I was. And so for her now, because she saw me like 3 4 times in the last couple of years. She told me like it's really cool to see every time I come and tell stories about what I did, whatever, and but especially the part of like how I've changed
Mm.
in a positive way, right? And it was like, really cool. And then yesterday I just came back from the lake and went for a shower, and then somebody was ringing the door, and there was a friend that I haven't seen in like in a long time, and he was one of the guys that was hanging out with 17, 18, teenager times, so like a long, long time ago. And back in that day, I had, let's say, not the best circle of friends. So there was a lot of like, there was a lot of fighting going on, a lot of drug abuse, like just like very like meaningless, meaningless things that we did in our lives. And so he came yesterday, he has a daughter now, whatever, and then we went outside to talk, because he needed somebody to talk, and it was very, very strange because I haven't seen him in a long time. And then he showed up basically at my door, and started talking about his problems, his life and etc. And then I was just listening to him, and then it looked at me, it's like, man, you've changed, man. You're not the same person that you've been, a couple years ago. But he meant it like in a negative way. Like
Mm.
he was like kind of this because he hoped that I was the person that I once was, which I didn't want to be anymore. And so he was clinging more to the past, to my past self, and hoping that I was the same guy like then. And he started like, do you remember the time when we got drunk or we did this and did that shit? And I'm like, yeah, man, that was fun, but that was like a long, long time ago, man, like 10 years ago. And so like the last 2 days, it was very interesting to compare, like, like on one side, like, hey, the change that I went through, to the positive self. And then when he came yesterday and basically telling me stories about my old self, you know, in hopes that that person's still somewhere alive, and it was very, very strange to observe like this who I'm now, and this person from my past who didn't move forward with his life, but decided to be like, like clinch to the past,
Mm-hmm.
and hates the change, that I went through, because a lot of people changed, right? So like a lot of people stopped having contact with him, and I was kind of sad yesterday seeing that. But it was just like, yeah, man, I was very, very strange observing that, but also at the same time it showed me two things. First, with her, it showed me like, man, I'm really happy, that I've changed, and I'm glad that people actually are able to see that. And the other thing is like what he showed me was the past thing of me, where I'm like, yeah, that's one of the reasons why I actually went through the journey of changing myself, because I did not want to be that person anymore that he yesterday pulled out of the memory, So it was a really nice comparison. So that was like the last 2 days, like where I've came from and where I'm now, just like the little journey part there. And yeah, I just want to tell that, man. It was like, now I'm thinking kind of about it, that what it showed me, or what it really means for me.
So so about your friend, the guy,
Mm-hmm.
he's also not who he was, right? Like he has a kid now. He's probably more subdued now. Like maybe he craves that life, but he's also not the same person he was when you knew him, right?
Right.
So he was
Right.
kind of looking up to you to kind of bridge that gap that maybe he wants to like he hasn't moved on and he's like shit I haven't moved on like you shouldn't move on in a way or like he was hoping maybe you could kind of relieve that for him in some way because exactly like I don't think he is the same person either even if he gets angry because you're not the same person but it, it's kind of weird in a way like maybe he's just kind of reflecting on you you know
Mm,
in some kind of way.
Yeah, and the other thing, mm, that maybe because of the kid or because of where his life is now, maybe his life has changed. And so one of the things that I can take away from your side, Darko, is that your life has changed in a direction, and you were going for maybe not exactly that direction, but you were going somewhere along that area. So you kind of like targeted to become the person that you are today, and maybe the contrast is that maybe some people feel like they changed, but not because they were looking for it. You know, that maybe like situations in life where things happen, and then you kind of like went for it, and then maybe that's why the kind of like attaching that to what Edward's saying. Maybe that's why it felt like he maybe wanted that again because he didn't get to leave that spot on his own terms.
hmm.
But it's definitely interesting to, I think, especially the fact that you got both sides of that you got two friends from when you were way younger, and you got to see kind of like both perspectives of, hey, you've changed, and it's actually pretty cool, and then, hey, you've changed, but maybe it's not as acceptable. I think that's a pretty powerful thing to see from friends and life in general.
Yeah, and it was also very interesting that it happened like like the next day immediately. So like with a person that like he was outside somewhere and he met my cousin and my cousin told him that I'm back home and he told him go and see him and then he came drunk and fucked up and so like let's say his life went in a downwards path, and what I've noticed yesterday, for example, like everybody goes through shit and hardships,
Hmm.
right? It just like it doesn't matter who you pick out of the population, man. Each one of us suffers from something. That just happens, like, and for some people, you look at some people and then you look at, what some people sometimes do is they compare sufferings, like, like, oh, like
Yeah.
right, because like, oh, you had it,
Suffering Olympics.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but is that right, when you think about like, oh yeah, you suffering is bullshit, like I had to go through this and this.
I stepped on
And
a Lego this morning, bitch. Like,
but the
I know
comparison
suffering.
thing, right? And in my head, it's like, man, it doesn't matter because like suffering is suffering, man, and it might look for the other person like this guy is just bitching around, but in his perspective, he's like from his side, like yeah, he's just suffering,
Hmm.
whatever, so it doesn't really matter, are you upper class, middle class, low class, or out of class, whatever, somewhere else, and you have your own sufferings, right? however
Yeah.
however there's always this decision of, am I gonna succumb to this suffering thing, or I'm gonna step up and make it, like let it empower me, take it and become a stronger version of myself to go through life as a strong human being, or I'm gonna go and play the victim role. That's the decision you can always do.
You know, that reminds me of for our work with the book by Tim Ferriss. He has one part, or maybe it's not even that book. There's something he says. I've heard it multiple times that it's just like follow your fear. Like what you fear is probably kind of what you should be doing because it gives you like a good indicator of something that you want, but whatever are afraid to do it. And I wonder if suffering serves a purpose like that also. Like maybe it's telling us something that's quite important for us, you know? And in some cases I can definitely see it clearly. Like if I suffer because I have like withdrawal from using drinking too much or smoking too much, then it's kind of obvious. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Uh, but in some cases, maybe it's not as obvious, right? Like suffering about someone else, and maybe the answer is that we should leave. Maybe the answer is that we should talk. Maybe the answer is that I have some issues, like. But suffering is not inherently bad in that way that it shows us something. It's kind of what I'm thinking at.
Something that I guess I would add to that is, I guess, defining what suffering means for you. And the reason I say that is, when I was studying Reiki, I was having this conversation with my Reiki master, because there is uh, like a health issue that I had a few years ago, and I don't know if I still have it, but sometimes something similar kind of like flares up, and I'm in pain. Now we were having the conversation of whether or not I should maybe like use Reiki to heal that, and generally, like, I know straight away if there's something that I feel like I need to heal, or there's something that it's more like it will pass, or just kind of like figure out my way around it. And that was one of those things where I was like, hey, I'm uh, somewhat constantly in pain, but I don't feel like it's something that I need to like use Reiki to like heal myself. And she said to me, well, Rafa, remember that suffering is optional. And I was like, wait a minute. Because during at no point while I was having that issue, or when I have that issue, I stop and consider it suffering. Um, it just pain, and it kind of made me realize that whatever suffering is, it is very unique to each person. So it is almost like completely up to you to define it and redefine it and change it around and move it around, or even like take it out. Because for me, I even have like trouble like thinking of what I would consider suffering for me. Like, I could imagine things that would be painful, or things that would be extremely challenging, socially or personally, but I can't really say something specifically would be suffering. So I wonder, where that really comes from.
Perspective, I guess, would be
Yeah.
my first thought. As you said, like, as Edward said, the question, what purpose has suffering? That's one question you can ask once it's there, right? To be like, okay, maybe it's to show me the things that I wait a second, my mom is just like, here, šta je mama? Ne treba mi sada čarape. Ne, da imaš neke. Oh, she wants my socks. I'm suffering here, man. Like, seriously.
You're killing me, Mom.
Oh, God.
Oh, my Lord. Then you just...
that's funny. So, okay, just
snatch it.
I have to digress a little bit, because like, so every time I travel, I come back home to my family, and I'm at my parents' place, and that's like my base. My mom is like, yeah, you're always welcome when you like, when you're here, etc. Like, cool, it's cool for me, right? And my nephew, like, he's 10 years old. He last time he told me, like, Darko, man, you have nothing, man. You have no car. You have no job. You live at your mom's place.
Dude, you are the worst.
I'm the worst uncle ever. Like, I'm like, yeah. Actually, what he's describing now is like, I guess there will be like a definition of a loser. Like having nothing and no job and living at your mom's thing, at your mom's place. So fuck yeah, man. Like, yeah, my nephew just nailed me down, man. But I love my family, man. I fucking love it, man.
It's like when yeah, one
Yeah,
more thing is like when I came back from China, I didn't have like more things. I didn't have like more money specifically, but everything changed, like inside. But if you look at me like 1 year and a half before, it's like, oh, like nothing happened, nothing at all. And I'm like, well, yeah, you could say that.
but now that you say that everything has changed, it's really funny. Now when I look at my life now, I have a lot of less things materialistically seen. Like because I'm not working anymore, I don't have as much money anymore to my disposal as I had years ago when I worked, factory, plastic engineering, all the bullshit. Then, like apartment, car, everything is gone, right? When we talked in the past about that, because of you change your lifestyle, then you don't need as much money anymore. So from the perspective, it's really like that, man. I, after all these years, became poorer, basically, in terms of money and things and whatever. However, as you said, everything changed. And going back to the first things at the beginning of the episode, that's the thing. It was all about the change, going through change, and becoming more, not having more, but becoming more.
I agree with that actually. Like
Yeah.
I'm on that same boat, Like I don't like to think about it too much in a way, like cause it's not even the point, right? It's just like I don't crave shit, Like sometimes I wonder, like clothing is a big one, Like I like dressing up, and I like if it's costumes even better, I like all this shit, but I don't like it nearly enough to go out and buy clothes or crave clothes. Like I really don't. And my mom, since I've been here, since I've been back in PR, she's given me like a dozen pieces of clothing, like pants, shirts. Every time I visit her, she
Wow.
gives me like 4 shirts, 2 pants, and I can't even like carry this. Like I can't like
Hmm.
and it's so weird but for her, and she just tells me, I'll tell her like it's okay, and she's like, how, like why would you accept this, like how can you not accept this, like I'm just giving it to you, and in my mind, like how can I accept it when I don't even have space to carry it around, and to for upkeep. So it's totally different paradigms in that aspect, and that's kind of where it goes, I think, like changing on the inside, like you said, or being someone else. And I can't say like I don't want to be like, oh yeah, I don't buy clothes, so now I can like travel every other day, ha 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 ha, because it's not completely true, but it's not completely false either. You do save a lot of money for not buying clothes all the time, but
Yeah, for sure.
And and I think when you're when you try to have very few things, I think you're a lot more picky in keeping things that you actually want.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's maybe like where the conflict is, because in the environment that we kind of grew up, if you're getting something for free, you're getting something for free.
woo,
You should take the
woo.
hell out of that. But in the point that we're at right now, we're like, yeah, sure, it's free, but now I'm gonna have to like carry this thing around. So it's not really free, and it's just gonna create some bother. I always think about the example. I think I've told you guys of when I finished one of my Reiki courses, and they gave me a DVD, and I was like, "What the fuck am I supposed to do with this?
Sa
Like,
frisbee.
where do you even play these things anymore? The computers don't come with
Yeah.
a disk drive anymore. What do I do? Do I buy a PlayStation to like play this? Like, how do you guys play it?"
Oh,
And
bro.
and you know and it just came out of me. It like we were having this such like great class, and then they handed me the DVD, and I was like, "The fuck am I supposed to do with this?" And it was like, and it wasn't like I was angry or anything. I was legitimately like, I don't understand how to use this thing anymore. Like, I don't know what the purpose of this thing serves anymore.
Frisbee.
It's a frisbee, yeah. Also, if
Yeah,
you
right.
break it in half, you can use it to shank someone in the neck.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Dang.
fuck. That's
I guess that would be
That's an.
that would be
I mean,
useful
it's
somewhere.
ironic, right, to use a Reiki this to kill someone.
Yeah.
God, but it just reminds me. So a couple of weeks ago, I was in Croatia at the Mindvalley University in how you call it, Fingens, and and they gave free T-shirts out,
Woo!
and I was like, people were like, "Did you get your free T-shirt? Did you get like the Mindvalley?" And okay, Mindvalley, fucking amazing organization, right? Helping a lot of people. I fucking love them. However, when they said like like we were in the office and they asked who of you doesn't have a T-shirt, I was like, I don't have one and I don't want one because my suitcase is already packed and I don't really want like any more material or anything in it. Fucking, I just don't want to carry a shit, even if it's just a T-shirt. I was like, I don't want more things. I'm trying to get rid of things. So thank you. I was nicely meant, but so I just kept quiet and was like,
No, thank you.
Yeah, because I bet some people would find it like insulting. You
Absolutely.
didn't enjoy this event. You're not taking our T-shirt. People will take it
You,
personally.
and that's the thing about a lot of these free. Okay, first thing is that the mobile gaming marketplace showed me that there's no such thing as free. Like if you want to understand what free means, just go play some mobile games and you will understand that nothing's free. But it, I feel like with free shirts and stuff like that, like nobody really, really, really wants them. It's a cultural thing by now or something. Because how many times do you use a shirt that you get on something like that? For me, I have one that I use from the last event that I went to because I got rid of a bunch of stuff and that was like, oh, an extra shirt, great, and I use it and I like it. But the average person that has like dozens and dozens of shirts, maybe like, well, maybe to clean or to paint or something like that, or like, why do people want
But
shirts?
Training.
But it's funny though, because I remember when I was working in the States. Oftentimes we would do an event and we would have T-shirts for that event, right? So if you think throughout the year, you would get like maybe like 3 or 4 different T-shirts. So if you're grabbing them, and I do agree, some people like grab them to do like stuff around the house, or just to be like so use them as like pajamas and stuff
Mm.
like that. Um, if you consider that, still, if you're getting 3 or 4 every year, I was there for three something years. Uh, that's already like 12, 15 shirts. Something along that line. And so you don't paint your house that often. You wouldn't really use that many. You would accumulate so much, and maybe that's the thing, that if you have a house and you have space to put stuff in, you don't notice. You're like, oh, a free shirt, nice. I haven't gotten one of these in a while, but in reality, you might have gotten one very recently. But since you have, since in a house you have so many spaces to hide the things that you have, you don't notice that how many things you have that are useless
Here's
to you.
a non-profit idea. We collect company shirts and we send them to people who need clothing. So that's what we do. We just
Dude, I think that would go far.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
what
that
we
would
do.
go
And
really
then you
far.
have people over in some, I don't know, villages. I don't want to say places because I don't want to be ignorant. And then they just have branded shirts from all companies from all over the world, like Burger King shirts.
You could also do like fake websites, let's say like I collect a lot of T-shirts of whatever organization, and then I make like a fake website, like, hey, and you can buy T-shirts from this organization, but they're all basically just like free shirts and
Yeah.
$20 per piece.
And so you just turn my non-profit into a totally for profit. I like it. I like it. You can do it.
Yeah, man, things. And the other thing is like, man, you can use T-shirts for, like, as I said, multiple things, right? For
Mhm.
painting the walls, whatever. My case, I need a lot of T-shirts because I train a lot. That's just a sweating part, like I
Mm-hmm.
just need to change, because as mentioned, for the training.
Yeah, me
What do
too,
you consider
actually.
a lot of T-shirts, though?
So I need t-shirts basically because I train around 5 days a week. That's like kind of the average thing that I'm doing. I need at least per training thing a t-shirt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not putting it on. And then I have like so when I get the shower or whatever, I change, of course. I have my other t-shirt.
Mhm.
So basically I need like around 10 t-shirts I have for training, because sometimes I train twice a day and then change again. So that's like my thing. And then I have like 7 t-shirts which I use like during the week. So I have quite a lot of t-shirts, man. I've got a lot of t-shirts. I think like around 15 to 20 t-shirts. Most of them
I mean,
for training.
that sounds like it makes sense because it's still like about a week's worth of
Yeah,
shirts.
that's how I calculate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that
because you don't
sounds
have
fine.
to. You don't want to clean every week or every 5 days or something. I have the same problem with
Right.
exercise clothing. Like you sweat it all out, and it's like, oh, I can't use this anymore until I clean it, and it's like, shit, I don't have that much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Laundry once a week. That's my thing, you know, like once. And I don't want to be like because you know sometimes you cannot do it laundry at the exact day, and then you don't want to run out of t-shirts, so you want to have like kind of couple spare.
So basically, you're saying you could benefit from my non-profit. Okay, good.
I could, but I don't want to. Oh man, yeah, man, non-profit shit, man. Okay, so to go back before my mom came in with the socks, suffering.
Oh my god.
I want to finish the thought from back then actually, because so the one thing was that Edward said was what purpose does suffering have, right? And then again the question of perspective is like, hey, you can either be say like, you know, suffering either shows me as you said with Tim Ferriss thing, you know, like the parts or the areas where I can grow, meaning like I'm not good enough yet. Let's say you climb a tree, you fall down, you suffer. You're like, oh shit, that means I could either give up and be like, you know what, I'm not going to do it anymore, or you know what, I really want to climb that fucking tree to the top. That means I have to train, and then you suffer again, like, you know, for doing training stuff. So that's one take, right? The perspective. Are you gonna let it empower you and make it stronger, or are you just gonna succumb to it? And then the other thing is what Rafa said, and I'm trying to get my thoughts
The
together here in this
perspective.
point. Yeah. Again, so the one thing was what kind of suffering, what kind of purposes have. That was Edward's thing, and Rafa's thing was like, why is it even there, right? And then but it plays the same. It's also perspective. It's also, I think the most thing is really just fucking perspective. Why is it even there? You know, like you can say like, oh, it's meaningless, or it has meaning. So the whole point actually what I want to make before my mom came in was just it really depends on how you see things.
Yeah, it is 100% up to you.
Yeah. Like just my friend from yesterday, man, he's just a fantastic example. He's a fantastic example from that thing, because he goes I don't want to talk bad, but just like, you know, like just stating his mindset, and he's in this victim role. I guess you know, like, you know, like when you think that everything that's happening in your life is everybody else's fault,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, I'm still there. Technical issues, you know, technical
We're
issues.
just joking over here. Don't worry.
Yeah, and so here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? In the past, I also had like a victim role, and being like, you know, like, oh, shit is happening to me, you know, family stuff, this stuff, you know, blah blah. Why is this happening to me? Why me? But then at one point, just being like, you know what, this shit is my fault. Just, and I remember it was everything 5 years ago when I came together with my ex-girlfriend. She had a lot of good, fantastic women in my life, but there was this one person I would just say I don't want to see her ever again, because she was kind of, to put it mildly, evil. just like an evil person, and she's the only one. All the other women that had more life, they were like fucking fantastic and wonderful and beautiful. She's like this one person was like a little bit evil. And my friend was like, he after we broke up and everything, he was like, yeah, what a bitch, blah blah, and he started to give her the fault for the things that happened to me during the breakup, depression, all shit. I'm like, no, 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 man. That, like, even if she influenced it, it's my fault for choosing her in the first place. So like, it all starts with me. That's my fault. And then that was a point where I started really taking responsibility and not being like, this suffering is the fault of this person. No, because of me and my decisions, it came to me, and now I'm paying the price for it, and it's okay. It's okay. I'm gonna, take the responsibility now. I'm not gonna point with finger at other people. I'm just gonna be, everything is gonna be my fault. And that was very, very empowering, because from that point on, when everything is your fault, you need to take responsibility for the stuff. Then you notice nothing from the outside can harm you actually anymore,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it's your thing.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, and I feel like, so it, even if it really feels like it's someone else's fault, someone, uh sure, trying to think of an example, but the example that came to mind was maybe like too far out there. So anyway, if someone comes and punch you in the face, uh and you're gonna be like, oh man, and that leads to, I don't know, your face not looking perfectly, and you had a date the next day. It's gonna create like a lot of turmoil, and even at that point, that you can be like, oh man, it's Jerry's fault that
Fucking Jerry.
this thing is happening, and that the date is not gonna be like good and all that. It's still up to you. Like, that feeling that it's someone else's fault is useless, because you cannot do anything about that. You cannot go back and change the way in which things happened, but you can always change what's happening to you right now, or how you feel about what's happening to you right now. So even if you get that situation, you can say, oh, okay, so I can own this. And then you show up at the date, and you just kind of like laugh it out, and then you can keep on going. Um so I feel like, even in like really stressful situations, or even like relationships and all that, you can always, take ownership of how things are going for you, and that's how you can actually get through them. Because if you put the power on someone else, or on something else, you're kind of fucked, because you cannot change that other thing.
Good point.
So yeah,
You, you
I
know,
definitely agree with you,
Fucking
man.
good point.
when I had a maybe similar experience to Darko's, in that my waking up to my responsibility about my life was also from a relationship. And
An
no,
evil one.
actually, I haven't had the
Okay.
pleasure of meeting someone evil yet. But uh,
Oh, it's fantastic.
no, I was, when you were saying it, I
Darko
was
got
like,
close to the mic and everything.
evil, huh? I wonder how that looks. Anyways, eh, I also came to grips with these thoughts that is similar to what you said, and I would think like, so what if a car hits me, because the guy was drunk or angry or whatever, and I was like, well, maybe I didn't have to be on the street that day, or maybe I should have dodged, and I started finding all these ways that I can take responsibility for everything, even a random person coming to my room to punch me in the face. It's like, well, like I chose to be in this room, so like yeah, in a way it serves to discharge the situation, so you don't have to
Hmm.
maybe focus on what you don't what you can't change, and it's like, okay, so what do I do now? And like, I totally agree, and the
Yeah.
victim thing, I
So
don't know why that's the modus operandi, really, like, of society, or like, why do people, I don't understand.
it's easier. It's easier, man. It's easier to say.
And I feel like it. Go for it,
I
Darko.
just want to say it's easier. It's really easier to be like, hey, it's the fault of the weather. It's the fault of this person. It's the fault of my computer, whatever. It's just easier to push everything on the outside, because then you can always be like, then you can always stay where you are. And now that I think again with the example from yesterday from my friend, so basically he was spitting for 2.5 hours just out how, like how kind of victim he is, and because like the kid that he has that happened per accident, all the stuff is just everything, like just like it's somebody else's fault, just somebody else's fault. And I listened for 2.5 hours to him, right, the whole thing, because I listened to him also for the reasons of our past, because we had our past relationship as friends, so I thought like, what, I'm gonna listen out to this person, and see what he goes through. And the biggest notice was really like everybody else's fault because of my situation, and now I'm allowed to drink, take
Mm-hmm.
drugs, and be fucked up because pity me, just like I had the hard life. And for me it was like, man, in my head, the responsibility part again. Yes, shit happened to you. Yes, I was fucked up. Yes, you suffered and everything else. But then the question is, and what now?
Yeah,
What now?
and to tie it back to what we were saying earlier, I think part of why people get so entranced in that is again the suffering Olympics, that people get so invested in winning this competition about who has like the worst situation, who's like the most fucked up, that if you the idea that it would be up to you, that you could fix the situation that you're in, that you could look at it differently, and that would help you kind of like get out of it, is counter to winning the Olympics. So you would want to like avoid that kind of stuff, So people kind of like just set a trap for themselves, because competing to competing in who's suffering more, you've convinced yourself that now you cannot unsuffer, because you would now like lose this competition that you built for yourself. So I feel like it creates like almost like a cycle where you make it really hard for yourself to get yourself out of it.
Hmm. Yeah, I like that. I like that idea. And now that you start talking about in terms of the metaphor of or analogy of a competition thing, it's also kind of like the spotlight, the
Mm-hmm.
because you can get attention from people when, let's say, you're really good at something, at sports or singing, and then just people notice you. The better you get, the more people just, like they cannot ignore you anymore, because you get really, really fucking good, like Jackson, whatever, or Jordan. And but that's the other part, maybe because you never try to accomplish something in your life and become good at something, you still want attention from people. You still need the social circle, right? And be with somebody. And so that might also be thing, hey, look at me, just look at me. I'm not good at this, but I'm suffering because of that, and that shit I'm really good. Might be.
I just found out how ironic it was, because we are in the social media society where everybody just tries to show how good their life is, and but in social media, Instagram, Facebook, or whatever. And then, yeah, like then this idea that actually everybody's just a victim at the same time, it's like in Facebook they show you like the best life, and then you talk with them and it's like, man, like money, the government, my mom, everything is hard. And it's like, wait, so which is it, like what's going on here? I don't get it. Are you like having the best life better than mine, as you show, or are you like a victim, or what? And like, the truth is somewhere in between, maybe. Like, I don't get it. It's so weird. It's like they always need to win in something. Like okay, in Facebook I win
Yeah.
because I have the best picture, and outside I win because I'm the most miserable. And it's like, but god damn, life is complicated.
Yeah, attention, man, attention, man. People. Now that I think about it, a huge topic in Croatia at the Mind Valley event was actually getting seen by people. You know, so you know that when you do like did you ever do like eye gazing exercises?
Yeah.
I've done it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you know it's kind of intense, but you start actually seeing the person really differently than before, or you start seeing the person for the first time maybe at all. And so that was like a huge topic in what I've noticed in Croatia. It was like actually getting seen by people and seeing other people. And so the social media thing, it's actually brilliant because it gives you like a false sense of getting seen by people. And um there was a girl, right, and I talked with her. She posted, so we went out for dates, it was a couple years ago, and she posted the picture on Facebook. You know, so we went out and she did the picture there, and then she posted it. And then she checked again later for how many likes she got, and she's like, I didn't get so many likes. And we're like, um does it help your self-worth? Does it help your self-worth, you know, like, or whatever? And she's like, yes, I feel a lot better when I get like a lot of
Yeah.
likes. And it's the, you know, the attention, you know, the just getting seen by people, and it just temporarily gives people a good feeling by getting likes and all this stuff. But it's no, you know, it's no real connection. We know that it's no real thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a facade that temporarily numbs the pain of loneliness, not having a proper social circle, and the feeling of like actually not being seen. And so that's like, as we said,
Yeah.
the picture thing is one part, and the suffering is one part, and maybe all the things that people actually do, maybe somewhere deep down, it's all just one thing that they want to get being seen.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely, I've felt for a while that like people's affection to like wanting to be like famous people, for example, it's not that they want to be that person or that they want to have like that person's life, but that they want to have the attention and the recognition that that person seems to portray.
Mm,
And that's really, really, really what they want. Not actually like their day to day life.
And the thing is
mm,
that we can
mm,
even bring in like what is it, primal psychology or evolution psychology or whatever it is. It's like if you are more known in the tribe, then you have more reason to get your needs met, you know, and you could just kind of go back to that if you want to. Like maybe it's just this like if people don't know me, I don't exist. If I don't exist, I die. You know, I don't get to eat. I don't get to reproduce. I don't get to do anything. So it's like I need people to know I exist. And then it just got blown out of proportion because of stars and marketing and media. And it's like, no, you don't need the attention of all those people to survive. You know, but it kind of feels like that
Mm-hmm.
to a certain degree. You know, like this
mm.
idea that if I know a thousand per people, then I can ask for help from them and they will give me instead of like only one person. But it's like, that's not how it works. You know, that's just I
Yeah,
don't think so. Anyways,
I can I can see that too. Yeah, I can see that too with the evolution
yeah,
part.
it's
Um, it's easy to tie back to that. Yeah.
that there's this idea that I've heard that we were meant to live with X amount of people, like up to X amount. I don't remember, like a few thousand,
150
150. Okay, that number,
is
and then we are interacting with thousands and thousands of people, and then millions if we go into the social media, and it's like doesn't it doesn't work. Like we don't work like that really, and I don't know how much of that is true, but to a certain degree, it tells me something.
but now that you say that, you know, so the thing that you're referring to, that we're not meant to live with so many people, and I said the number 150. It's I forgot who was that, but it was this scientist. He came Darwin's number, something with D, and he said that humans are basically able to remember like 115 names, something like that, and that's like kind of our circle, because everything over that you don't have time to connect with the people, and so you don't have time to build up trust. So it makes sense that like the tribes wanted to, like smaller tribes, like 100, 150 people. It makes sense, to keep it like smaller but more intimate and better connected than like thousands of people which you don't have fucking know, like who might turn the back to you and stab you into the back and whatever. So that makes sense. But now saying that and listening to you also with the thousands of people, when I go on Facebook and I see people have like 5,000 friends. I'm like, that's such a ridiculous number. It's such
Hey, they are friends, all right? Okay, they are friends.
like what the because I know when people, I get a lot of like friends requests, like, or not a lot, but here and there again, and then if I don't know that people or that person, I'm not accepting that request.
Yeah, same.
And even if we have like 30 people in common and the person is legit and everything, I don't know you, so I'm not gonna put you in my friends thing. It just doesn't make sense to me.
No, of course not.
Yeah. I had a family member some time ago. When they joined Facebook, they like friend requested me, and I was like, no. You have you have I don't know how many thousand friends. I don't want those people to know that that we are related, because I don't know who the heck those people are. And they got really flustered because it was like, oh, you're not gonna be my friend. And I was like, what does that have to do with anything? It's just Facebook. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be like a real definition of friendship. And for years, it's not that we had a discussion about it, but it would randomly just
Oh
come up,
my
and it would be
god.
like, oh, he doesn't have me on Facebook, and it doesn't happen anymore. But it went on for a while. Like, people really feel like it's
Personal.
like a really strong metric of their almost like personal worth.
It
It's,
reminds
it's
me of early
insane.
Facebook days, because early Facebook days, yeah, it was like, oh, I've seen this person. You are my friend now, everybody. Woo! And
Yeah.
then, like, for me, I quickly realized, oh no, what have I done? I don't care about all these people that much. Like, it's fine. I just see you on the bus.
Who are these
Yeah, yeah,
people
yeah.
even?
And
Yeah.
yeah, but I do remember the metric thing. Like yeah, Facebook friends means real friends, and it's like maybe not. Like it's good as a network, though.
Man.
It's what I always say, because that's what it is, right? It's just a network of people. So
It just dawned to me, like I just had this reminder of, as you said, early Facebook days. You just like, like, oh, I've seen this person, I click on it, you're my friend now. And then because I talked in the past with people about this stuff, and then friends told me like, oh, I have to go through my friends list and sort it out again, and just basically delete people
uh-huh.
again from the list.
I've done
And then,
that.
and so here's like the very ironic part of this thing. People click on people to be friends with them super easily without knowing the person actually, and then as easy as to took people in, they kick them out again. So you cannot
Mm,
say that there's really deep connections. However, they still feel offended when it happens to them.
yeah.
Yeah, this person deleted me.
That
and
reminds
and
me.
and yeah, and the feeling of this person added me versus, oh, this person deleted me, feels like compoundly
Yeah,
different.
yeah.
It almost feels like it doesn't even compare. It's like, wait, what did I do that this person doesn't like want
Right?
me anymore? But when they add you,
Because
it's
we
like,
take it
oh,
for
new friend,
granted that we're friends. So that's the ironic
Mm-hmm.
part. Like, we actually don't care about Facebook friends. We care about Facebook breakups or something. Like, because
Yeah.
I remember that whenever you had like a friend, especially like an ex, girlfriend or something, and
Mm-hmm.
you're still on Facebook, and one day you're like, I haven't seen from this person. Let me go to their profile, and you're suddenly out, and it's like, oh, what the fuck? When does this happen?
Yeah.
Oh,
And it's interesting because if you, in that example, if you were to like check it like years and years and years and years later,
mm-hmm.
you guys probably don't have beef
For
anymore.
sure, no.
There's probably nothing that you guys would like have issues with. But on the heat of like the breakup or whatever, maybe one of the two felt like they needed space from the other person, so they removed them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But if you see it years later, it burns like, this person
Like,
doesn't want to
damn.
talk to me anymore. But maybe they would actually love to like hear from you again after that many
Yeah.
years.
That is.
Man, th- now that you say that with like ex-girlfriend and everything, fuck social media. Seriously.
Yeah.
Because when you go through a breakup,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
you should break up the contact, man. At least for a couple of months, man. No picture, no voice message, nothing. Like no, you don't want to. Otherwise, how I compare it always is this. You know when you walk down the street and then you stand on a chewing gum, and
Mm-hmm.
and so if you don't remove it, it just you try to remove it and it gets long and it sticks and it's super hard to remove. If you don't do it like
Yeah.
really quickly, like a fresh chewing gum is okay, but like an old one is really fucking nasty to get rid of.
Yeah, that's good.
And so I always compare like, and it might sound stupid, but like, breakups like that, so make it clean, just finish it now. And then later on, maybe you can connect again if you feel both like doing it. However,
Yeah.
if you drag it out, situation gets like really like old, and then it's like you never lose completely contact to each other. You're not able to evolve as people anymore, and then come together maybe again as new people. And it just drags it out, and then the pain gets like like up again, and this is suffering, unnecessary suffering is there too, right? And so I remember like myself in the past when I had a girlfriend and a breakup and whatever, and then after 2 weeks or something, 3 weeks, whatever, a month, I like kind of curious what she's up to. So I'm like, oh, accidentally go on her
Sweetie,
Facebook
sweetie.
page, and then I see her with other guy, right? And I'm
Shot
like,
through the
and
heart.
I'm like, and it pains, right? It's a pain.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
just like, like, fuck, she's
It's
already over
weird.
me.
It's
And
weird.
then I'm like, and then I have to self-talk with myself, like, are you happy now, Darko? Are you happy now? Really? Did you have to do that now? Like, for what?
With your inner monk.
Is that what you wanted? Is that what you wanted? Like, and so, me, for example, when I go now for a breakup, I clean cut just everything, just like no contact, nothing. And then after a while, if the person was really nice and everything, we come back together again, then it's fine.
Yeah.
As friends or whatever. However, but you should have a clean cut and have like a couple of months of nothingness,
Yeah.
and evolve, and then see maybe if it is meant to be as a friends thing. As I should evolve naturally. I shouldn't be forced like, oh, I want to be friends with her again. Like, nah, just let it be, man. Just let it be. Whatever it is, it is.
And I actually just finished a book on this topic. So what I would say to this is that it's it's a conversation, right? And so the book was, and I would definitely recommend it. It's a very short read or listen if you do the audio instead. It's called Thoughts on Relationships by Colin Wright, I think is the name. And I feel like it's very easy to think of the book in terms of romantic relationships, but I think it applies to any kind of relationship, friendship or whatever. And one of the points that he makes is when you go on a date with someone, don't go on a date. Don't go on a first date. Go on like a kind of like a coffee meeting or coffee like meetup or something. Because if you remove the date aspect of it, it's a lot easier to make that first interaction be more like a friends hanging out or new friends meeting. And if you start the relationship being friends, or and like removing that pressure, it is a lot easier for you later to bring it back to that, because that was the basis, and that was where you started.
Oh.
But another thing that he mentions is, hey, figure out like an exit strategy. Like, have the conversation of, hey, if things were not to work out, because people change, and like, here's what would happen, and here's how we should kind of like try to handle it, and kind of like have like almost like have an agreement on that, with the understanding that you're not having the discussion because you want that to happen, but if it happens, then hey, let's take a break from each other, and kind of like block each other off for a year or something, and then we can talk again, just so we could have time to just disconnect, and move on, and go do other things. And I feel like if you have that level of trust in being able to have those kind of conversations, then it will make things way easier. Because if you get to a point in a relationship where it's not working out, you can talk it out, instead of like arguing your way out of the relationship, or however it is that people like often like get themselves out of the relationships. So from then on, I feel like so much of the um, conflict, or so much of the friction, can just be removed, because it would just be a
You know
conversation
what
away.
you know what I was just thinking, man. Like, cause yeah, exit strategy and like being friends and then going back to friends. And why to, because I agree with Darko, even like I do think you should cut it cold when even if you don't end up in really bad terms, just so you can get space to kind of reassess yourself out of that
Mhm.
relationship and stuff like that. I think it's great for both parties. But why, like what happens in the relationship stage, even in relationships that don't, especially in relationships that don't end up fighting, like fighting, like now I hate you because you actually did this thing that goes against my values, and I think you're not a good person, and I don't want to deal with you. Like, barring those kinds of relationships, like, why do we feel we need space, because what is actually happening? Like, I don't hate you, I don't, maybe I got used to being with you, maybe that's the point. But what is that feeling that says, okay, let's not be together for a while anymore, romantically or otherwise, and now we cannot see each other?
I I have some maybe insight on this, and it was that I have a friend who very recently like broke up with her boyfriend, and she mentioned just exactly what you mentioned, that um, they part of how they met is that they essentially live in the same house. She lives on one of the floors, and then he lives on another floor. So they spend a very significant amount of time together, because even from the start of their relationship, or even before they had a relationship, they were already like in very close proximity. So something that you mentioned was that it was really hard for her to like deal with the breakup, and it is still really hard for her, because this is someone, her life, or their life, in a sense, was like uh, it, tied together, that they would spend so much time together, and they would do so many things together throughout the day, that now not being together, almost like it's like a huge change, because now you're not cooking together, now there's not this other person that you can ask for help on certain things. And so I think it's that. I think it's the the breakup is, in a sense, a very noticeable change in your life, that you definitely need some space to be able to like accommodate it, and kind of like adjust to it, because you're quite literally changing your day-to-day and your day-to-day interactions.
So what you're saying is that basically we cannot have like relationships or deep ones anyways without giving a little bit of our freedom away then, because because if you get attached to something, it's attachment, right? You're attached to a routine, to a way of doing things, and then you that gets taken away, or okay, that gets broken up because of any reason, then you're still attached to it. So that's where that suffering comes from, that growing pain comes from, but for that to happen, you have to accept that you are attached, in a way, like you have to accept that you were attached, or you had to be attached for at least a moment, because otherwise, like I wouldn't understand it. You understand what I'm saying? Because because part of me, it's a
Yeah.
little bit against this idea that you have to be attached to be in a relationship, but then why do you need space after the relationship is over? uh, every time, even if it's over in quote unquote a good way. That's kind of what I'm trying to understand, because it seems like paradoxical that we are like great, we live great, we say goodbye in a great way, but we still need space. Okay, like don't even think about looking into my profile or something like that, and I wouldn't. So it's kind of paradoxical there. Like everything's not completely like peachy. There's still a need for space, be it to make space for that growth or change or whatever, but then there must have been some attachment there. It's kind of what I just maybe realized.
Yeah, I think it's that the person kind of like becomes a part of your life. So now you need to almost like make space within yourself for that part of your life that is no longer there in the same way. Something the book also mentioned was um keeping like, again, like conversation, like being trusting each other to have the conversation. That one of the things he said is, if you were to like block them, or put this barrier between you, make sure to explain why. Make sure to say, hey, I feel like I need some time, and so I'm gonna like block you or remove you from this, so it's easier for me. Have the conversation, because if you don't take that step, the other person might just make inferences, or someone else might make inferences of what happened, and then bringing over to the other person, that will just create conflict.
Mm. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very, very good point. Just also, it's also to be fair to the other person, because that
Mm-hmm.
person has been a significant part of your life for, was it a week, was it a year? I don't know. Just, the other person is a human being with feelings, and if you correct, as a person, you have character, you don't want to just push them out of your life, but be like, hey, I need this
Yeah.
because of this and this and this. And the other thing I want to say, because of the question that Edward said, why we need space, and even though like everything was fine and we broke up in a good way and everything, I think I personally believe, like, yeah, the attachment part, as Rafa said, it's really maybe being used to it, like you getting together, and then like the person becomes a routine of your life, and then you break up in a good and proper way, and everything is okay. However, I believe, what I believe is, there's like two parts of, it's a letting go. The first one is a physical part, which is pretty easy, like I let go of your hand, and okay, now we are not anymore together. And that's like kind of, when you hold hands, there's like a visible bond, and when
Mm-hmm.
you're apart, you still have in a relationship, you still have a bond with each other, but it's like an invisible one, and that's one that only you and the other person can see. And so I believe that breaking up means breaking up the visible bond, which is like the physical contact and everything, but the invisible one takes a little bit time, and it takes effort from both parts to be like, like to cut that bond and to let that go. So it's more of you need the space to be able to let go. And every time you see that person, even though you don't touch each other, you you're not strengthening, but like it's harder for you to let go of the invisible bond, because it's just a reminder there was
Yeah.
something there. And that's why I believe, like you need the space just to let go. That's it. To have time to let go for both parties.
But but
Man, that's a deep conversation.
Yeah.
just so you all know, we still don't know anything, so don't be listening to our relationship advice. But if you
I
resonate,
don't know about you
go
guys.
ahead.
I read one book, so I'm
Yeah,
an
I
expert on
also
this.
I mean,
I read some pickup books also, so I know a little thing or two about relationships, good ones.
I mean, I watched some ads on relation. So I'm pretty much like very suited to be like a consultant for relationships.
Speaking of ads, the other day, Rafa and I went to this meeting with a bunch of people, like public speaking thing,
Yeah.
and one person, I don't know what she was doing, but her phone exploded like super loudly with some ad, it says something about the weather, like, you have to prepare for the weather, there's no bullshit, and she like scrambled to try to turn it off, and she was like, super flustered, everybody was just looking at her, and then she like kind of closed it, and then I just look at Rafa and we look at each other and we say, fucking ads, man.
It's like fucking ads,
Fucking
yeah. And
Perfect.
dude, like the panic that ensued on her was like it was I felt bad, not because of the ad, not because of what happened, but because of how she was handling her phone, and the
It
ad
didn't.
would
It
not
didn't.
stop. It was just like she was like pressing everything, pressing the screen, pressing the back, like tapping the sides of the
Taking
phone,
the battery out.
and doing it like really quickly. Yeah, and it would still, like, the ad like completely played, and then I think she somehow maybe accidentally got to YouTube, and YouTube was like,
Time to do
here
my
we
job.
go, and it just played it. Yeah, it didn't actually even play the video
The
afterwards,
ad.
just played the ads.
Yeah. That was.
Fuck.
I think YouTube was like, oh, you're in a room full of people,
Here we go.
okay.
I'm sure they want to hear this. Based on your recent searches, I suspect all your friends want to hear about this fucking weather poncho.
All of your friends. All of them.
Oh my lord. Well,
Um, well, I think this is like a perfect opportunity to blend into. If you need consulting, you can call us. We might be for free, but not forever. And then the other part is like all of us want to become public speakers, right? Everybody, like, are we agreeing on this?
Yeah, we're all in on this.
Cool. Okay, so like, if you have a job for us or a gig,
let
us know.
We will talk about ads for you, so you don't have to do it.
Yes, we do live
Will we?
8 ads.
Yes.
Okay.
And about other things.
Whatever that means.
Yeah, and along that line, so we'll post an email on the show notes. I also have a couple questions that we got from one of our fans, but we didn't. We always just go into conversation, and then it's hard to like step out of them. But I have like three
I
questions
asked you
that I got from
a
fans.
question
So
about those 3 questions. Do you think there would have been a spot to slot them in between the topics that we touched? Because maybe no. Okay,
no.
so they were not related. Okay.
That was good.
Mm-mm.
Maybe we should do the next episode. Next episode is going to be episode 19, right? And just give that attention to it, because if somebody takes the time to write those extra questions and to send them questions, we should also take the time to honor that and
Yeah.
give an episode to that, just like like Q&A.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we can do the next one. Be like maybe if we just focus in on that, because I bet
like
we can do
starter,
like a full show
Yeah,
on
like
on a few
conversation
questions.
starter. Okay,
Definitely.
okay. Yeah, but I also think if the
Oh
questions
yeah.
like match what we're talking about, we can slot them in like organically. That would be great. But because that's how we do things.
Yeah, let's focus. Let's try to focus on the question because, as Rafa said, like, look at us. We talk. We are all over the place when we talk.
Yeah.
And so it's like super easy for us to get like an hour out. It's like super easy because we're
We are
experts
experts
at talking.
at talking, at creating saliva. Almost some would
So,
call
I
us
would say-
professionals at talking.
Yeah. I would say if you haven't subscribed yet, I would be actually surprised that you didn't subscribe because you listened to this whole thing for an hour or so.
Everyone else already subscribed. Why
Yeah,
haven't you
throw it.
subscribed?
Do you need to get an ad? We can't tell YouTube, you know, they got our back.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, guys. I would say I'm hungry. I'm gonna need some eggs. Need some eggs and some proteins.
I thought you said you need some X, and I was like,
Let's
what?
talk about it.
I need my eggs.
Let's talk about it.
All right,
Okay, cool.
See you guys later. Great listening to
I
you.
guess take care.
Thank you for coming.